Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. This time out, an amazingly powerful delay pedal from Pigtronix. Let's get started. The pedal we're looking at today is the Echolution 2 Deluxe from Pigtronix. Now this pedal can do everything from a slapback delay to amazing special effects. There's so much capability in this pedal, so much programmability, and when you interface it with your computer, the options get even wider. For our demonstration today, I'll be playing an Ibanez AR420 guitar, and we're playing through a Venus 3 amplifier from Rivera. Now the pedal has stereo inputs and stereo outputs, but I'm running it mono, which is the way most guitar players would use it. We've got a tap control on the front panel for setting the tempo of the delays. We've also got an engage pedal that's used either for selecting presets or for bypassing the pedal or bringing it into action. The fun really begins when we start looking at the bank of switches that's associated with these knobs. Each of these switches controls parameters associated with the knob, and so we can change the settings and really get in deep, program the exact sound we want to hear from the delays. So let's begin with the time control. We can enter times by just calling up a preset. We can turn the time knob. And as with an analog delay, when you turn the time knob, the pitch actually changes as the delay time changes. We can also tap in a delay time. The switch beside the time control moves us between short, medium, and long settings, and in that long setting we can get up to 10 seconds of delay time. The bottom switch beside the time control brings in two special effects. With a short press, we turn on the Pong effect. If you're connected in stereo, the delays will bounce back and forth between your two amplifiers. But if we hold that down for a longer period of time, the halo effect will turn on. What that's doing is, for every repeat of the echo, it's kicking up the pitch by an octave. It's a really beautiful effect that's especially nice on sustaining chords. Next up, we have a switch that controls the number of taps that are associated with a particular tempo you're working at. In the 1 position, we get 1 repeat per tap or per delay time. Now we can also move that down to 3/4, 2/3, 1/2, which would be basically eighth notes, or to phi, which is the golden mean time ratio. Now if we bring that back to the 1 position and we hold that switch down, it will also engage the 3/4 position. So we get 2 repeats that are basically coming together in a dotted eighth relationship. Next up we have a filter. Now the filter affects just what's coming out of the delay itself, not the dry signal, and we have a number of settings for that. This is our dry sound. Then if we add the low pass filter, the sound gets darker as it repeats. We also have a tape delay emulation. You can hear those kind of degenerate as they go, just as they would with an analog tape deck. Then we have a comb filter. And we have a sweep. So you can hear the frequency of that filter changing as it goes through its sweep. Now when we hold the filter switch down, we turn on a bit crusher function, which basically gives us a low resolution digital signal. Our next switch controls how the effect behaves when you have it bypassed. When we have the trails turned on, when we bypass the delay, the trails will keep trailing off. In listen mode, the delay is listening to what you're playing and creating echoes even though you're not hearing them. When you step on the bypass switch or the engage switch, it'll bring those delays in. So it's basically listening to your incoming sound but not really playing those delays until you hit the engage switch. We also have a dry kill position, which removes the unaffected sound from the signal, so all you hear are delays. Now when we hold this switch down, we get some different effects. Let's go back to our normal mode here. We'll hold this down and it brings on the ducking effect. Now the ducking effect basically turns the delay down while you're playing and brings it up when you stop playing. So it lets you keep your playing cleaner when you're playing complex lines without having all those delays stepping on your dry signal. When we do a short press on this switch, we get a reverse delay effect. Now we can also hold down the switch to bring in the ducking effect while we have the reverse engaged. The Echolution 2 Deluxe also has a modulation section. We've got a speed control and a depth control, and this switch moves us through different waveforms. Now that modulation just affects the delays. We can bring in a square wave, a ramp wave, and also what they call super waves, which have advanced waveforms on those. The final switch on the front panel controls what happens when you're using an expression pedal with the Echolution. You can step through that controlling the delay time, the delay mix, and a variety of different parameters can be assigned to that expression pedal. You also can control all of the functions inside the Echolution 2 Deluxe using MIDI. It has a MIDI input for receiving incoming signals, and with the MIDI output, it will send out its own clock signal so you can synchronize other devices to its tempo. Finally, we have an optional remote switch that can be connected to the Echolution 2. Now that'll do two different things for us. In its default mode, it will step through 4 presets in each of the banks. We have 6 banks of 10 presets on board, and we can step through the first 4 of those in each bank using the remote switch. If I step on the switch once, it brings up preset 1. Step on it again and we switch to preset 2. We can also switch the remote to a second mode where the first switch controls a jump effect and the second switch controls a freeze effect. To do that, we power down the unit by unplugging it, then power it back up by holding down the tap control and plugging in the cable. It will go through its cycle, and we're in the second mode. Now to switch back to the original mode, we do the same thing, power it back up while holding the tap control. The jump switch transposes the repeats by an octave when it's activated. Then it switches back to normal operation. The freeze control holds whatever you're playing when you press it down. If you don't have the remote switch connected, you also can use the tap switch and the engage switch to move through presets. The Echolution 2 Deluxe is very easy to program from the front panel. There also is a version called the Echolution 2 that doesn't have all the switches on the front panel. In either case, you have the same functionality, it's just what you can access from right here in front that's different. Now, in order to program either unit, you can connect it to your computer by USB, and there's an app that runs on PC or Mac that will allow you to get into all the parameters and will also serve as a librarian for all the presets that you create. Thanks for joining me for this installment of Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more guitars, more amps, more effects, and we'll be making lots of music. I'm Mitch Gallagher.